Hello everyone, it's Annie, and today I'm here with my December 2021 reading wrap-up. I read 14 books in December, and most of them were for the Reindeer Readathon, and I also did 2 reading vlogs in December, so this wrap-up will hopefully be a little bit shorter than normal because I'm not going to go into those books that I vlogged too much, because you can just watch the vlogs, which I'll have linked up here during the video and in the description below. So first I will start with the book I liked the least and go to the book that I liked the most this month. So first, we have The 10,000 Doors of January by Alexi Harrow. I rated this 3 stars. I was disappointed with it. It had so much potential, but it just fell really flat for me. I really liked Alexi Harrow's Once and Future Witches, which is why I read this, but I just really did not really like this. I think that it was just too overly complicated. It was a little strange also, and I've seen other people talk about this as well, that a big part of the book's plot is the fact that the main character is half black and the author is white, so it's kind of interesting that it just feels a little weird because that is such a big part of the plot. That's why. And it's like an issue. So that was a little bit strange. But I really did like the fantastical elements, and they did really interesting things with language. But it took until about 60% of the way through the book for things to actually start to get interesting. The main premise is that there are like these doors that you can go through and visit other worlds, but there's like a secret society that like wants to close all these doors. I don't know, like it wasn't interesting and it was disappointing. So that's sad. The next book, which was also a little disappointing, it was also a 3-star, was Winter in Sokjo, which was one of my most anticipated translated works. It was translated from French by a French-Korean writer, and I was really, really looking forward to this. It is about a girl who lives in this small fishing town named Sokjo near the North Korean border, and it's winter, obviously, and this French dude comes and stays at the hotel that she works at, and they have like a weird relationship. The problem I had with this book is that nothing happened. Nothing was happening in this book. It was like I kept waiting for like something to happen, and it just didn't happen. So that's really all I can say. I mean, it was very short. It was like 150 pages, so like it's not like I wasted too much time, but it was just, you know, a little disappointing. We have The Beast Warrior, which I am really disappointed that I only rated this 3 stars because I loved the first one so much, The Beast Player, but this just had, like, it wasn't what I was expecting at all. I don't actually think it needed a sequel. It focused way more on Ellen, the main character, her son that she had. And first of all, I just think the son's name is really weird. Like, this book is full of really interesting, fantastical sounding names, and the son's name is Jesse. Like, it's like Dune, where the main character's name is Paul. Like, what are you doing? So that was weird. I just really, I don't know, I didn't expect it to be like a time jump book. Like, I thought we were just going to be following the main character where she left off, but instead we follow her through motherhood and like she's already married and stuff, and I just didn't really, that wasn't what I was looking for. I found myself very bored and just wanting this to be over. So I do still love the politics and the world that Naoko Uehashi built, but this was a bit of a disappointing sequel, unfortunately. And then we have a 3.5 star, which is Honey Girl. I read this for my Sapphic reading vlog, so I'm not going to go too much into it. You can see all my thoughts there, but I really did enjoy this. It's just that it's so short and it took me like 2 weeks to read, which is just not a good sign. And I felt like things should have been explored more in this book than other things. I don't know if that makes sense. But like I really, really liked the main character. She was very unique, very deep. It follows her. She recently got her PhD in astronomy and she's feeling very lost. She has really no job prospects, and it tackles things like race in academia really, really well, which I loved. And it also, she has a very complicated relationship with her father. So that is interesting. But it just I don't know, it just didn't fully live up to its potential for me. I don't know. I liked the fact that, you know, her wife that she married in Las Vegas was super unique as well, and they were very different. But I liked how they explored like getting to know each other and stuff, but I just wanted a little bit more from this. I don't know. Oh well. And then we have a short story collection, The Rock Eaters, which is written by a Caribbean author, and I did read this for Reindeer Readathon, and this has been on my TBR for a really long time. I really, really enjoyed most of the stories. This was the first book I read in December, so forgive me if I don't remember all of it, but I do remember that this book was a 5-star up until a certain point. Like, so many of these stories are so unique and so creative and just absolutely breathtakingly beautiful, and like, wow, how did your brain even come up with something like this? But some of the others, especially towards the end of the collection, were just really much, much weaker than the others, and it was just like, why, how did you write all of the others and then you're writing some of these which just don't hold my interest at all and are not even half as interesting? So, you know, I mean, with short story collections, you always get a mixed bag, but this was a 4-star, so it was definitely really good, and I definitely highly recommend it. And then another short story collection, Synopticon or Synopticon. This is a collection of translated short stories from Chinese, and it was really, really interesting. It's the same vein as the other short story collection, that some of these stories are just so unique and so creative that, like, there's just so much in this little book that, like, so much creativity packed in here. It's amazing. And like, there's so many concepts that I never even thought of. There's one story in here about 2 sister planets in like a binary orbit, like, and they're like kind of, there's a lot of tension there, and one of them says that the other is its moon, but it's not really, like, they're as big as each other. I don't know, I just thought that was really interesting. The only caveat with this is that some of the stories are quite sexist, but I think that the ones that aren't do outweigh them. And I think that the translations were done really beautifully, and the translation notes by the translator and editor of this anthology are really worth it to read. So I do highly recommend this if you're looking for a more diverse look into sci-fi stories. And then we have Girls of Fate and Fury, which is the last book in the trilogy, Girls of Paper and Fire, which I absolutely love. The first book in this trilogy was one of my favorite books that I read in 2021. I love it. I love Lei and Ren, the main characters, and oh, they're so cute together. I love them as a couple. I thought that this book was stronger than the second book in this trilogy. I really love what it did with some of the characters and how it resolved like their conflicts and stuff, but I do think it's just so hard to live up to the first book. So yeah, you can see all my thoughts in the vlog. I definitely go a lot more in depth, but I just, you know, I love it, and I do love that it was a happy ending for Lei and Ren. So now we're going from 4 to 5 stars with the Green Run Saga. I read all 3 of these books for a vlog. I'm starting out with Jade City, of course. I loved this. It is a 4-star for me because the first half of the book, it took me a little bit to get into it. I felt like the first half was very slow, but after the 50% mark, it really, really picked up, and like, there's a big payoff for how slow the first half was. So I definitely feel like, you know, it was a really good introduction, and it set things up really well with all of the characters. And the second book, I feel like it didn't suffer so much from middle book syndrome, but it was still a 4-star for me. I mean, it obviously was the second book, so I just feel like there was a lot of things that happened it was very long, and maybe it didn't need to be quite so long, if you know what I mean. But then Jade Legacy was so good. It was 5 stars, hands down. I kind of expected the ending, but I just absolutely love this trilogy overall, and how it shows, it's like a family saga, like in this really interesting fantastical world. It was so cool to see how, the characters' families grow up, and how the new generation in their family kind of views the world based on how the older characters used to view the world and how they used to act, and how the changing technology and changing politics really affect them. Fonda Lee built such an expansive and beautiful, tangible world. You just have to read it to to really get the full scope of it. It's so hard to explain, but it was just really masterfully done, really well-crafted trilogy, and I'm so glad I read it this month. Then we have a poetry collection named Bone, and I read this for the Reading Women's Challenge to read a poetry collection by a Black author, and this is the one I picked, and it was gorgeous. I mean, it's so short, do I have to explain? Just go read it, go try it for yourself. You can really tell that the author put a lot of herself into her poetry. Every single poem was gorgeous. Some of them were even like only a couple of lines long, but they packed such a punch. It was gorgeous. And I don't really read a lot of poetry, but I'm very glad I read this one. Okay, so now we're getting into my 3 favorite books of December. So excited to talk about these. First, we have The Girls I've Been by Tess Sharp, which again I read for my latest Sapphic reading vlog. I loved this thriller so much. The main character is so amazing. It centers on 3 teens who get caught up in a bank robbery gone bad. And the catch is that the main character has grown up with like a bunch of secret identities because her mom was a con woman, and she escaped from her mom and the terrible situation she was put through as a child, and now, there's complications with that. I love this main character so much. This book was so fast-paced. Like, I devoured it in just a couple days. It was so good. I absolutely loved it. I loved the voice that the main character had, and just the whole story was so like, oh, you really just can't wait to find out what's going to happen next. It was so action-packed and really, really suspenseful, and I highly recommend this. I can't recommend it enough. The next book is Harrow the Ninth. So you might be a little surprised to see this as a 5-star rating for me, because I only gave Gideon the Ninth 3 stars when I first read it. Harrow, though, I could make an entire video just about this book and my thoughts on it. It was a masterpiece. I'm not even kidding. It is a over 500-page behemoth of a masterpiece. Just beautiful. It was a fever dream. I didn't know what was happening for like the first 50% of the book, but that's how it's supposed to be. It was just absolutely genius. I just could not get over it. Harrow and Ianthe, how their relationship was explored, was so good. The complexity of Harrow's character as like this little emo goth lesbian necromancer. I love her so much. Okay, I'm gonna stop myself, but this book really, you have to read them. You have to read Gideon and Harrow. You just have to, because Tamsin Muir does such interesting things with narration in this book particularly. She uses all 3 narration styles for second and third, and it pays off in the end so much. Oh my gosh, it was just masterfully done, and it was just, when I say a wild ride, I really mean it. It was just a roller coaster. Like, I could not believe what was happening. It was so good. Please read it. And then the last book of this month is Winter's Orbit, which I was gifted by the lovely Jessica from Books Past Bedtime. I really loved this book. This was a 5-star prediction, and I'm so glad that it actually turned out to be a 5-star read for me, because I haven't had the best luck with my 5-star predictions, but this one really was worth it. It's about these two guys. One is the prince of an empire and the other is from a vassal planet, and they have to have an arranged marriage in order to keep the diplomacy together. Which is just something that I think is really interesting, especially in a sci-fi setting. I loved it. There was a central murder mystery that was very intriguing and kind of kept your attention, but the real stars of the show were the two main characters and their romance. It was just so good. I love it. I really, really loved how different they were from each other, because sometimes, and I find this with my own writing as well, it can be hard to make your two main characters different from each other, different enough that they have two distinct personalities and two distinct voices but still work so well together, and Everina Maxwell really, really accomplished that so well. This was such an enjoyable read and I loved it so much. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my December wrap-up, and let me know what your favorite book you read this December was. I'd really like to know. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel for more bookish videos in 2022. I'll see you next time. Bye!